Hello, good morning. This is Aircrete Team Florida. I would say that this is the team building part of what I've aimed to do, and I've really just made up these names under the spirit of, what I want people to feel as this progresses. This is a team effort, um, reaching out because this niche is so specific to certain people and certain curiosities. Let's say artists, builders, um, homesteaders, permaculture, uh, just, I mean, you can add in, of course, because,
Country living.
excuse me,
Country living.
country living, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Community events, people that have a lot of land and very close family or extended family, or they want to invite family in, or provide some kind of service, even, the Airbnb or workaways, wolf programs. I mean, and we are going to consider international
Right.
aspects to this. My friend Christian, who's Colombian, and he's from Minca, that area, and he has family there and an ecotourism program just in development. And he is asking me to come out and help him with some construction, and he's excited to do some aircrete there too. And maybe possibly this workshop model is a great way for a lot of people to have their stuff done, because it's under the idea that many hands make light work. Um, and that, we invest a little from ourselves, and then we create one big thing that everybody can, kind of move, keep it within the people that are doing it. And of course, I realize that there's a certain part of the population that they hire crews to come and do this work. They just have an idea. They want someone to design it. They want a crew to come out and build it. And I would love to have a well, a hardcore Aircrete crew. that we could, the more we work together continually, the more we learn what each other learns, and the more we know how to fill in the gaps. Two heads are better than one. Sometimes too many chefs spoil the soup, or too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Right.
You have all these little catch sayings. If you've been in the construction field, or if you've been in team building aspects, um, there's a lot of things I could say about my background. I realize that I've spoken to many people, but I don't know who will get this today, uh, because of my story, of the sake of where I come from and what brought me here. Um, and Brian can attest to a lot of this because he's been here from day one, and here he is on the Zoom meeting at 9 o'clock. So thank you, Brian. You've been a big support this entire time, including he accompanied me to Maui to the Dome Gaia workshop. He's the one who sent me the email of Aircrete, probably not even thinking that I would be this interested. Just we'd send each other interesting stuff.
Right.
Brian and I used to live together in South Florida. He went to school for chiropractics. I went to school for natural therapeutics out in New Mexico. We both were very into the education of natural therapeutics and just nature itself. And we wanted to fill the gap of having a free conversation, a community type of thing where we would introduce natural principles, talk about what we have learned, and have a discussion. And we did this every week. How long? For a year, maybe? I
A
mean,
year, a little over a year. Yeah.
right. And then I think that's an important aspect, because there's something about domes, geometry that fits into our natural, how we see the world as real, or the pattern recognition that we have. And I think some of us are really just curious, what if we did something different? What if, there's more to our homes, our spaces than, right angles and materials.
We got
Hello.
Kelly Willow is on.
Yes, thanks for jumping in. We are recording, so if you wanted to shut off your video, feel free to. Just as a courtesy.
Okay.
So, and just know if you do speak, it will switch over to you on the video.
Okay, so cut off video is the best way? Just
Not necessarily, just if you speak or a sound comes from your device, then the video will show you on the screen. So
okay. I'm gonna mute it.
yeah, you can mute it and then nothing will come through. And at some points I'll just mute all and we won't have to worry about that.
You guys see me?
And now we're just,
Yes,
hi, my mom just joined on.
Hi.
Hello.
I've been on. I'm
Been
on
on?
Dad. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
on
you're
Dad's
Dad.
phone.
I saw Dad's name, but yeah, you're on his phone. Very
Yeah,
good.
because barking.
Yeah, so that's my mom, and she and my dad are on the site and in Old Town where I'm proposing to build and have this workshop. It's an hour west of here, which I'm in Southwest Gainesville. So, not that we have to go into that right away.
will you give a bit more of your background and
Yeah,
also
thank you.
why are you doing all this?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. In being a body worker, and started to see geometry into our physiology and our world, I became curious, how can we use these principles to greater affect our physiology? If, in fact, that this is real, all of these new age ideas and concepts, right? Well, that should work to some kind of physical, tangible result. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, restroom is in the home. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. So so what first got me interested, why Brian sent me the email in the first place, was that I became like thinking, well, what if we had a sphere and that was the treatment room? And I could put the person, I'm doing a body work on them, in the center of the sphere. And then all geometry, where supposedly that the center of the sphere, excuse me? Energy. Right. And there's nothing in the center, right? That's where the void is. That's where we would almost assume, and people have said that there's a black hole. Right. So we're trying to scale out what is postulated on paper as three-dimensional geometry affecting what is in this globe. If you're into permaculture, any kind of environmentalism, then you're seeing like, I'm affecting my environment to cause things to happen. So how, if I'm intentional enough about this space, could I actually create something? Like, what happens when you walk into a church? What happens when you walk into a sacred site, old ruins or ancient mysterious places? There's something about that. And I think if we build into that on a practical level, then we should see some results. And so I've been looking into this for many years, and it's been interesting to see where it veers off of what I'm talking about, and where people, because at the workshop, when we went to Dome Gaia's workshop on Maui, that was my intention. I want to build a sphere and do body work in it. I mean, maybe a house or whatever, maybe even a dog house. I don't know. So it really shifted when I was there because of the people that showed up and the type of environment that was created there. We had people from no experience of building to expert masons, timber framers, and everybody's scratching their head because it's new and it's different. And because it was on Hawaii, of course, and it was on this land with Hawaiians, there was this richness to it, and they were very, what would you say, Brian? generous in imbibing the culture in this workshop. So it was just so much fun to meet people, to work together, to build together. You know, and what I noticed was a lot of these people, although they had all these expertise, none of them seemed higher in person. Like everybody was coming in like a learner at a novice level, like open, humble.
Right.
Exactly. And because we're not using straight lines, everything that most people were used to threw out the window right away. The whole premise was taken away. So everyone was, how does this fit? How does this overlap onto years and years of training, and how much fun are we having now, right? And I thought, I just want to do this workshop. This is so fun. Like, and it's very basic as far as if you're a construction worker or a builder, there's nothing that's too complicated about making the forms, about mixing the aircrete. So I thought, it's really just how we do it and how we set up the environment with the reasons that we're doing it. And of course, we get to the issue with, are we allowed to do it? So, you know, a lot of my conversations have been talking people out of Aircrete instead of talking people into Aircrete, because it's not going to work for everybody. It's going to, and I want it to. I want those barriers to be dealt with. If it's permitting or coding, you know, just your own security and what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years to my building. I'm just as concerned as you are. But the fortunate thing is that Old Town is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. We have built everything on the property without permission, without permitting and stuff like that. I don't know how happy you are about me saying that, Mom, but the
We did
neighbors
have
are like,
some,
No one hears the service.
we do have some permitting. Okay.
I'll just add there that we did pay impact fees and, we got a permit for our electricity. So the basics are all permitted. We just, haven't needed permits for building sheds. It's not required in Dixie County. So we built a lot of sheds and we put them
Wink,
together.
wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
This is what I'm.
And
But some
That's
things,
right.
the basics are permitted as in, you know, with our well, septic and electricity.
right, well, septic, electricity are there. And we can go over what is on the property. I, you know, was just there yesterday. We're putting on a deck to finish up the house, and I'm just imagining all you people there and how much fun, and how I just thought, wow, it'd be such a pleasure to share what we've been building for 30 years now. And it's mostly clear, it's mostly camping type stuff. But to continue the story, I didn't live here. I only moved here 4 years ago. And this was right after I did the Dome Guy workshop in 2018. That's when I got, immediately when I got back, I wanted to start. I wanted to make a workshop. How do we get this started? I called business, building codes, all the stuff. I talked to all of my contracting friends, and it was very interesting to find out what you can and can't do. What I knew that I needed was somebody to take a risk. It's an unconventional thing in a city, very tight quarters. And even the building code said, regardless of how you build it, if it looks weird, it's complaint driven codes. If somebody says something, they're going to show up. And then whether or not, if they can verify it or not, they can say to tear it down or not. So I was looking for a maverick, essentially. Somebody who just didn't care. Or they were so excited by the idea, they were willing to take that risk. And I found someone, and we put together a workshop. We poured a foundation. I had everything on site. I had people, Brian, you were there. We had other friends from New York, from Texas, and then locally, friends. I grew up in St. Pete. So,
I'm from St. Pete.
are you?
Yeah.
All right.
Lakewood High School.
Lakewood, I'm Bogey. What year did you graduate? 96. Ah, So, it failed, to cut to the end. But what happened, I wasn't able to troubleshoot in real time. There was some of it was just blowing breakers in the middle of mixes, and it's hard to go back and say, well, which part of this? Was it the ants in the box? Or was the compressor kicking on and blowing the fuse? The host said it should be fine, but time after time, we're having these issues. And Mom, you were there too. And we would pour everything just like we did at the workshop on Maui. So that was the biggest, and I did a test pour. Of course, I didn't just do it without testing it. I did it at the house, and I filled up like one of those kiddie pools with a batch of Aircrete. It was really neat. And I was like, this is it. I did it. Just like in Maui, right? Well, it didn't happen that way. So we pulled the plug, and I said, well, I didn't give myself any more time between having to pay rent, being a single dad, all those kinds of things. I said, I'm sorry to the host. I'm going to keep working on it at home. I'm going to get it right, figure out what all these problems are. And then not till then can I, so just like this, what I'm proposing, this is a mutual thing.
Right.
You guys have enough interest as I do. That's what I'm assuming. And maybe this is going to make it or break it just watching these videos, because I'm going to do it anyway, obviously, because I'm still doing it, because we haven't yet. And I realized that without a prototype and without a model, and that's what I was attempting in St. Pete at the workshop that I was just describing, which I would love to get back to and finish, because as far as I know, there's still a foundation there. There's still messed up Aircrete blocks, and maybe they're even viable now. So yes.
How long ago was this?
This was 2018.
That you did it in St. Pete?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah. At a place called Sacred Lands.
okay.
You might, it's in Jungle Prada. It was right next to where, what was it called? Saffron's was the name of the restaurant back then. Now it's the JP Tavern. Yep, and there's a boat ramp there. I used to fish there when I was a kid. It was like, oh, everything means something, right? It's all synchronistic. And just for brevity, if you have questions, you can put it in the chat. There is a chat thing that will continue to go. So if things pop up in your head and you want to add or ask, just write the questions in there. We're going to do this, and then we're going to mix Aircrete at 2, and then at 3, we'll do questions and answers to summarize everything. But this is basically telling you why I'm doing this, and I just had it in my head. It's got to start now, or I'm going back to work and I'm going to get tied up in another construction job. And I'd rather just be making Aircrete and stacking up blocks and making foundations and drawing designs and that's where all of you come in, because a workshop is where everyone, I'm going to ask for tuition. I'm going to say I'm looking at the minimum amount for me to be able to set everything up so everything goes really smooth, and it'll take me 30 days from when I feel confident enough. In other words, enough people are able to pitch in, at least initially. That's the risk I'm asking from everyone, is a deposit on your tuition, and then a pay by the date that we start. Now we went to Maui. It was like $1,200 for a 10-day workshop. And then I spent $800 on a plane ticket, accommodations while I'm there, the food, the meal plan. And I don't even want to go into what the hosts were actually expected to come up with from the company. If you look at their requirements for the host, that you have to supply everything. There's a big endeavor and thousands of dollars. And you're not just getting a free thing by having a workshop.
So no sponsors were,
No, no. This was, if I could make an assumption, a grant money,
okay,
because these Hawaiians didn't even have a reason for the building.
right.
We're like, what are you going to use it for? I don't know. We're going to sing and play music in it. Okay, fine. So I just, in my mind, it said, oh, this was probably just a fun thing to do. The Dome Gaia company is headquarters on the Big Island.
Okay.
So it's not really a far reach.
Okay.
We were excited to see the engineer, Hajar Jabran, but he didn't make it to this gathering. And he had other instructors show up to facilitate, which were great. And we got along really well. And they've actually helped me because I've been able to call them after my St. Pete experience to see if they knew how or what went wrong with what was going on. And so after the Dome Gaia workshop, I posted on the Dome Gaia forum, Florida Team Aircrete, or Aircrete Team Florida. The same thing I'm naming this. And I continue to get phone calls from people in Florida or out of town. And conversation after conversation, hours of conversation, because that's, like I was saying to you, Andrew, every conversation about Aircrete is like this, and people are just, they're so like, these are my dreams. This is who I am. This is, I don't want the technology. I don't want the city. I never asked for this. Okay. Just leave me alone and let me create my life.
Right.
And there's a lot of us that just want to do that, but we're spread out and we're dispersed. Right. And we're walled off in cubicles, our own theoretical cubicles. And so, the more I saw this happening and know where to put this, as far as someone saying, okay, let's do a workshop and I'm gonna work with you and I'm gonna help you and support you and all of these things, by being able to cover my bills and whatever. I mean, that's all I ask, really. Give me the time and energy to give you the experience to where you want to make a decision one way or another. And then once it's built and accomplished, it's possible, or at least this isn't for me. I'm going to do something else. Because most of you have been on the fence. And some of you are like, I don't know about the permitting, not permitting thing. But some of you are like, well, let's try to get an engineer. Let's try to get someone. Huh?
I was never on the fence.
Right. Some of us
right over when I
right.
learned about it.
And then there's people like me and you, Andrew,
Yeah.
and maybe, more than sorry, I'm going to mute everybody, but we'll still hear you, Andrew. Just so that the video doesn't flip back and forth. Okay. So where were we? I was basically saying I could get back to logistics,
Yes.
really, as this goes, because I, just Sunday was like, okay, I got to make an event. I got to call people to have a meeting to pull people out of the woodwork. And once I do this, then I met you guys. I've never talked to you. I just talked to you the other day.
Yeah.
Never met you guys before. There's more people that this is going to happen now. And I've gotten so many people saying, I want to do this on my land. We just did a workshop. I want to come help. New people, even old people that I had in my phone responded to me.
Right.
That's really warming to me, because sometimes you'll message someone back and you're like, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? And that's what this call is, really. I have no expectations, because it's been interesting as far as who actually shows up for all these years so far. I want to my hopes for this in this meeting is, if I could have it turn out the way I want, I can shift everything I'm doing tomorrow and start focusing on making this workshop happen. Like I said, I need 30 days notice. So I'm looking at November, beginning of November. We have a tradition, a family tradition. Every Thanksgiving, we camp and in that week of Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So in December is already Christmas and all that stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, before Thanksgiving, after Halloween,
Mhm.
that seems like a sweet spot.
Mhm.
The weather's good for camping. I have some picks that we can do in the Q&A. We're probably going to go over the 40 minutes because it's okay. We have that much time. And I can show pictures through the Zoom of the property and where the camping would be and what the facilities are. So really, as much financial support, the better. And I'm saying scraping by bare minimum $3,000
Mhm.
in the community, even if, and I imagine having 10 people
Mhm.
as a general amount of people with $300,
Mhm.
200 up front, 100 on the day, by the day of. Yeah, I think that's,
That's
you
way
know,
reasonable.
you heard how much you would go to do a Dome Gaia workshop, and some other people are also doing these workshops.
Mhm.
As you've
I've been-
delved into,
Yeah.
yes,
I've
the
done it.
tiny giant lifestyle.
Mhm. That's where I did my giant lifestyle.
Okay, did you go to Texas?
No,
Or-
I did it Zoom.
You said Zoom.
Doing it over, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
And so I've designed
He's got.
I've designed my setup and everything by bringing together those two ways, methodologies. I really
Mhm.
like Tiny Giant Lifestyle because he's showing you how to make a home,
Mhm.
not just build a shell like an igloo.
Mhm.
You know, this is, oh, well, what about air conditioning? What about electricity? What about R value? And, you know, how do we actually plan for, for, you know, utilities?
Mhm.
And you can or don't have to at, you know, as much as you want. And those are other things, you know, for later. But I'm more interested in doing something on a construction type level where you're in a comfort of your own home. Now, there's many ways to build, but this build is really a prototype that I plan to add on to. So I'm building it modestly with no windows, not that big and not that thick. So I can really make the Aircrete stretch to where you could have,
The cement.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the cement is going to be expanded, right? So where you could have a circle dome, I'm actually going to do an egg shape. And there's some technical reasons why I started moving towards this preference.
Mhm.
And so I want to do an egg shape. And this is not something that you will get in the other workshops because nobody else has demonstrated it as far as I've seen. Although Gabriel with Dome Gaia, we did talk about it. We did talk about how you would do that.
That's the guy that did it with no shirt on.
Yep, with the overalls,
Yeah.
no shot overalls.
Yes.
Yep.
I watch his young fellow.
Yep, very young,
Yeah.
and you know, super great
Mhm.
guy. And then there's Rafa and Paulie. Rafa is still doing teaching with Dome Gaia. I was just chatting with people who he was recently at a
What's the guy
workshop.
from MIT?
No, the guy he's from, I think, was he from Chile?
Okay.
Is he Chilean?
You're bringing back a lot of things to memory because I watched their videos as well.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Mhm.
Let's see. So you're right. Okay. I love this. This is how exciting I am. Excited I am. And I would like to open it up to the conversation between us. But just to finish up logistics, you know, I'm thinking $3,000 with 30 days notice is bare minimum. And that would be, you get to camp. And then there's utilities, like we have an outside bathroom that's not attached to my parents' house that has a bathtub, shower, hot water, regular bathroom. We have a whole kitchen area with the outside cooking covered area, and there's plenty of tent sites. Where at this price, you would bring your own food and water, because we've been filtering, it's a well, it's not the best. So I've been filtering water, and our filtering capabilities cannot water everybody.
Right.
So anything that you want me to do, we're just gonna make an extra add-on to that 300 tuition. I'm happy to do a meal plan. If more people that don't want to bring water, can you just have some there? Okay, well, we'll have a water fund and people will pitch in to have water show up there.
Don't worry about it. I'll bring my food truck, man.
You bring your food truck?
Yeah, that's right.
What?
I'll cook them lunch.
Yeah. Well, I love cooking, I love baking, all this kind of stuff. So I think most of us are very multifaceted. I'm not surprised. And probably very,
Oh, sorry.
yes.
You have to run for the social security.
Okay, I'll be.
I'm good?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're good. You coming back?
I have a disability case that I have ongoing,
Mm.
and I just got a call.
I'm sorry, because it doesn't sound like a
It's
fun
okay.
thing to do.
I went through heart failure in April,
Mhm.
trying to get disability approved. And,
Okay,
just use that to my advantage right now.
are you planning to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, anytime. We're not leaving.
Okay.
I'll
You're not
be,
leaving here today?
Nope.
Okay, because I'll leave my stuff in the car. I got equipment and all that stuff.
okay, yeah,
It's a bit-
okay, great, yeah.
No,
No, that's, all right, we'll see you soon, Kurt.
Hey, Curtis,
Curtis.
can you at least leave the box here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
Stop.
No, it's good. And we just hit 40 minutes, and so I think I've said enough.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, since 9,
Yeah.
yeah, so, or maybe it's almost.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says 40 minutes on the Zoom meeting. So does anybody have any specific questions, or would anybody like to, say that they are interested and they're 100% on board already? Like $300 sounds good. Beginning in November will be a possibility, or that you'll make it a commitment. You don't have to be there to give me money, of course.
We'll let them know one person in the room will motion it. I just motion it. We have more to talk about as far as like helping you.
Right.
Because after we get to know each other today, you'll know where my knowledge is on Aircrete.
Mhm.
And I'm actually mirroring what you're doing,
Mhm.
which is what Miss Maria shared with you. I'm gonna have a workshop. I'm setting up everything.
Right,
I'm
right.
recording everything. So when you're not recording, I will like expand some of what I'm doing with you. But per your question, you already got one right here.
Awesome.
Even if I don't eat just to support, because
Right.
I know what you need
Mhm.
and how important it is to the success of putting this out in the future, I'll be there and I'll pay that kind of money.
Great, thank you. And the more, the better.
Thanks, Paige.
Let me just say this, that there's people that I really want to be there that have more invested into this before now. Like the people that have no understanding or never touched Aircrete. I'm speaking more towards you. Of course, I want to give the incentive that this investment is going to come back if you already know that you are going to continue to work with Aircrete beyond this. Like if you decide we're going to do a project at my place now, then I'm going to support you. And I'm also going to consider any kind of compensation I would give back tuition if you were paying me or hiring me.
Right.
So I want this to be
Mhm.
an exchange that can be an investment that you would get back from my own sweat equity.
Mhm.
Or even, ultimately, if we have a crew and you just want to pay a crew to build an Aircrete dome or something on your land, then we would take that off the price. Or however much you contribute. You don't have to contribute $300. You want to throw down $1,000 to this happening, I'm going to tell you, it's just going to go that much faster, that much further from the get-go.
You will have no problem People are gonna buy into this. Some of the lines you walk, the interests are very high.
Yeah, and I'd like to think, so.
Willow has her hand up, just so you know.
Oh yeah, we have this feature, right?
Yeah.
I don't see it appear. Do you know how
Slide
that happens?
over, slide your screen over.
Oh, maybe the other way.
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
so right. Yes,
You can't hear me? Okay,
I can hear you. Yes.
okay. Did I miss how long the weekend was gonna, how many nights or days did you indicate?
Right now it's a variable. I'm thinking about a max of 10 days. That's a lot of time. That's how
Wow.
long,
Oh,
that's how long our workshop was, and it depends what we can fit into those 10 days. But I'm gonna design it to where most everything is happening in the beginning. And if you want to leave before the completion, you're welcome. You know, like I want to give you everything right away so that if you can only be there for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days,
Mhm.
then at least, you know, you'll get your money's worth in that
So
time, whatever you want, whatever you agree to.
$300 for 10 days of learning?
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
Nice. Okay.
Right, because this is a team building thing.
Mhm.
This is not a profit organization. The profit, of course, supports the people running it, like myself, and the profit will be reinvested into being able to begin other projects.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Anybody else have their hand up? Anna or Anna?
I was trying to figure out how to unmute
Yeah.
myself for a
Yeah,
second.
you're unmuted,
Um,
baby.
So yeah, I just wanted to say I took a Dome Gaia workshop last October, and a $300 tuition is insanely cheap for learning this kind of knowledge. I think I paid $1,500 to go build for Dome Gaia, and it's so valuable, the knowledge, and so much fun to build with a community of people. So I'm shocked at how your tuition. I think it's great. I'll
Thank
be
you.
there.
Thank you for
I miss
your
the
testimony.
beginning. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I
Say as much
missed
as you
the
like.
beginning. I think I'll join in on the Q&A, or I'll try to later.
Okay.
Because I missed like some of I got in like super late, but thank you. That's all I wanted to add. Great price,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
super valuable knowledge.
Right. And you know, it's amazing how many people have just said, can I just come help you? You know, I've never met them before. They live in New Jersey, let's say. And I want to come and help you. Okay. I've never heard of this in any other industry or endeavor. People will go thousands of miles just to play with building something. And really, so the business that this is all under is called Flow Source, and it's all about creative educational fun. I think we could do a lot of each of those things in various ways.
And Anna, just so you know, Jeremiah has recorded this. He'll be able to give you
Right, the link that you can share and whatnot. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
you know, later those will be recorded also. At 2 o'clock, we're gonna mix a batch in my backyard. And that should be fun. And so after this meeting, we're going to be here setting up for it. So the people that are here will get to set up and everything like that. But I'm not going to go into too much technical depth while I'm doing the mixing, and I'm going to save that for the Q&A after I'm finished mixing and pouring. We'll jump back on Zoom, and I'm imagining that that's going to bring up more questions, and that could be more anything, you know. So if there's any more questions about the workshop dates, times, and tuition, or things that you may be stopping you from being a yes right now, or things that you would like to see to help make that decision. Anybody else come up with questions? No? Okay. Well, if you're all good, is anybody going to be at the 2 o'clock that I should expect?
I'll be there, and I still have a question. Excuse me.
Go ahead, ask.
Yes, okay. Slipped. Oh, my Lord. I guess I don't have a question. Oh, no, it wasn't a question, it's a statement. Yes.
Oh,
So the reason that I couldn't give my yes right now, because I love everything that you've talked about. The reason I can't give my yes right now is I just need to look at my calendar.
okay.
So that if you're asking, is there anything else you could say or do to have someone be able to give a yes right now? On my end, you've covered a lot and completely interested, but I need to look at my calendar because of scheduling. That's all.
And just to answer it, at least to give a ballpark, and Mom, we were talking about possible dates. So it was like November 4th was Thursday, right? Or something. It was either the first weekend in November to start, or the second weekend in November to start.
November 4th is the first weekend in November.
Okay, November 4th is the first weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, it's not 7 days, so it's, we might build it before 10 days. I don't know.
That's a good time. You got 2 good weeks before time.
You're still muted, Mom. That's why.
Top of the screen, Roseanne, if you touch your screen at the top.
I got it. Yeah, I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't remember what the 4th
The
falls
4th is
on.
the first weekend
But
in
is it a
November,
Thursday?
and that's the Saturday, and then the 11th is the
Okay.
following Saturday.
Right, it's a Saturday. Either the first weekend or the second weekend, I think was good to
Right.
involve those weekends.
Right.
Yeah, was when you said 10 days, it kind of carries into
The next week. So, I want,
weekends.
yes.
Just as long as it's before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Week.
exactly.
2 weeks before.
Yeah, 2 weeks before. Okay. So that gives you all a ballpark of when to have it. And the shocking price, I know. That's why, for people that are even more, the more inspired you are, the more to give, and the more we can develop by then. I
have a
to
question.
tell you the- yes.
Well, when you say 300, you're basing that on getting 10 people. So
Right. Exactly.
would
That's a
you
good point.
do it with less people and then up the tuition, or are you having a
Well,
minimum
that's a good
maximum
question,
type?
because if we have less people and then I would say, well, we have to raise the tuition. But I also would like to say, like you were asking me yesterday, by when am I going to know? Like by Monday, by a week from now? I think that might come up in the Q&A more. So off of this video, there's going to be more people coming in. And so I have the Facebook page, and I have a website that will link you to the Facebook page, the Instagram. I don't really use any of that. My intention is really to get people offline, but it's the best way to put things in a certain place that everybody can see it. So I think Facebook page is the best way to track, how the admission is going, and how many more we need by when. More questions? Yes.
Okay, so as you're working this through, the people that are still want to experience what they can, and let's say there is a limit of how much money they can put toward it, do you think that you would still be able to do any sort of anything with just, let's say there's, 3 people at $300, or is it just going to be a total?
I'm gonna say that we're gonna do our best to document this video of the workshop and anything, and anybody that gives anything will get that video. If that's
But
an
to
incentive.
show up, I mean, are you still, would you still be, do you think building with
Right.
the, with the amount of income that's put toward the project, even without achieving the entire needed amount of money, would you be able to start so that people come out and still have something?
So I think what you're asking is regardless of how much of money I get, that
Yeah,
people who still want to come, that there will be an amount of education to perform, whether it's 2 days or 3 days or 4 days.
yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, sure, because, and this is why I don't mind this, figuring it out, because I think that's why this is, the transparency, we're on a level playing field. I need you, to help me make these choices based on what you want, when you're available. Like for me, it's more, the value is to have it happen, whether that's on this date or another date. If I can get more people on the week before or the week after, that's going to influence. So it is a little unsettling, and maybe that's part of the risk. And that's why, I say, I just need financial support at this point. And if that's a contingency, maybe I set up, a poll or something of what days and dates are going to work best for you. And I think I can do that on the Facebook page, but people have to also be part of the Facebook page. Some of the issue is that some people aren't even online or go on Facebook much at all. So there is a to be continued expectation that beyond this meeting this day, that there will be a follow-up, and whether we have to do another Zoom meeting to, we could say, well, in 1 week, wait for the notification, but in 1 week, we'll do a follow-up Zoom meeting to track our progress and see who has come in, because I love you.
well, I certainly feel that you're going to have your 10 people plus. I was just the curiosity of, if that was your ideal start number, unless say you're just shy of that, could someone still come out and
Yeah.
count for a couple of days and learn whatever it is that you get for the amount of Aircrete that you're able to
Right.
make?
Yes. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to say because we're so stuck in the way things normally work, and it's a yes or no, right? And it's like, we really don't know how to deal with if and but and maybe,
The gray areas, all those gray places.
Right. And this is, what you give, you can get. And so it's up, like when I did my workshop, I wanted to get my money's worth. So I dove into every single aspect of dome building as far as what they were teaching, and made sure that I laid the bricks as much as I could. I mixed the Aircrete as much as I could. I understood why we were doing and how we were doing everything. I didn't want one step to go by without having a camera on it, right, Brian? So it's really about your drive and what you want to get out of it. What you put into it, that's what you get out of it. And so there has to be a cap. I can't have 50 people there. You're not going to know what to do. You're going to be collecting firewood, and while people are working on the dome. So there has to be some kind of cap. And maybe I'm just not anticipating to have a flood of people come to Old Town. But it would really change the demographics there. Excuse me?
If they do, you'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. So
On something.
yeah,
I'm a project manager, so they don't be collecting sticks.
No, we'd be, right.
Yeah, we'll put them to work.
Right, it's just that we have this little project and only so many people can have their hands on it. Yeah, so that's why it has to be enough and not too much.
Mhm.
So everybody gets enough value out of it. So if there is 10 people and let's say somebody else wants to come in, it's like, well, what can you contribute? You can come, there might be like an annex of, well, these people were first come, first serve.
Mhm.
So they're going to be given the opportunity to have the hands-on and in the front row seats and stuff like that. Or we just do another one.
Just about to tell you prep them for the next one because I'm having a workshop right after you.
Yeah, and then we go out to Andrew's place in Fort White,
Fort White.
and that's round 2.
Mhm.
And the only thing that changes is the way I'm setting it up might not be the exact way that Andrew's setting it up
Mhm.
or somebody else, but I think somehow we want to make it work for everybody. And so it's really just the more we have these conversations, the more domes and places we build. So yeah. I'm just happy that you guys are here and that all this of setting this up and seeing the way through is supporting me and other people that are interested. So we're about to hit 60 minutes, and I will say last minute, anybody else before I say good night? Okay.